Okay, cool. It sounds good. I've done this once or twice. So let's see how it goes. If you guys just want to introduce yourselves and then like what instrument you play in the band. We'll just have to pass the mic around.
Oh God. Hi, I'm Shannon, and I play guitar and I sing in Awakebutstillinbed, and I write the lyrics.
I'm Brandon. I play guitar and synthesizer on the records.
I'm Alex. I play bass.
I'm Nico. I'm the drummer.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we are here in Austin at Empire Control Room, just after the show. I'm here with Awake But Still in Bed, and yeah, so we're just gonna talk about the tour and then you guys as a band and like the music writing process and everything like that. So I know you guys just started on the road last night or yesterday in Fort Worth, and then you're on the road for about a month. Do you have any like cities that you haven't been to before, or any like that you're going to that are like super favorites to go and play in?
Oh, jeez. I personally really love playing bigger cities like New York and Chicago because we see a lot of friends in those places, and we tend to play bigger venues. You know, people are more excited, I guess. But yeah, we did hit a lot of these cities on our headlining tour last year, and it's also nice to go back to places like Austin and, you know, Fort Worth, Dallas area, because we see some of the same people at the shows, and you know, it's fun to hit spots you've hit before.
I'm always excited to play in Dallas because that's where I'm from, so it's nice to go back. And as far as like, I think that the only city I can think of that we haven't played that's on this tour is Carborough. I've never been there in North Carolina, so yeah, that's exciting. I like playing all the shows. I like playing all the cities. I'm normal. I'm normal.
Coming from the three of us are from the Bay Area. Nico lives in Seattle, but we're from the Berkeley, Oakland side, and then there's San Francisco, which is where we're playing on this tour. And it's amazing that there's two cities that are within about 10 miles of each other that can have totally different subsects of scenes and don't really interact with each other. And it's really amazing to get to play a San Francisco show that is going to feel like a triumphant moment of like, yes, this big city that's right next to the big city that we're from, but that everybody doesn't want to engage with our city that we're actually from. And it's like, yeah, finally a big venue in that city. So that's really cool. And then, the Philadelphia show is going to be really great.
I should have said that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I should have said the Philadelphia show because I really wanted to play. I'm really excited to play the First Unitarian Church. I went there a lot when I used to live in Philadelphia, and I saw so many great shows there. I saw Algernon and Cadwallader's last show there before they reunited, and I saw Death Grips there. Nico?
I'm personally stoked to play Miami because that's a city I've never been in.
We haven't ever played Miami.
So none of us have played Miami, and that's like, kind of just like the last kind of big city that I think maybe all of us have yet to play.
I don't think we played Tampa either.
Tampa. I haven't played Tampa either, but it feels like, you know, like the major cities that you would see on like a middle school map pointed out. I feel like Miami's the last one left, which is, that'll be fun. But we have 22 more cities to go, so it's just one at a time. Kind of just stoked for the next one, you know.
Going off of that, is there any like specific things that you do to like keep yourselves busy on the road or like in the bus between stops? Like just to stay entertained, or the van?
I wish that we had a bus.
Walk into walls.
Yeah. Recently, I've been playing. He's referring to the fact that I've been playing Skyrim for the first time, and
First time?
yeah,
Dude,
and
blow my mind.
yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna max out stealth, and so I just like I walked into a wall from stealth for like 3 hours. Yeah, I don't know. I was reading a little bit today. I play on my Switch sometimes if it's like a really long drive. I try to work on music. I say I'm gonna do that, but then that's like a really difficult thing to do. I don't know. We talk a lot. It's hard to get us to shut the fuck up. You know. I don't know. What do you do, Brendan?
I mean, we just try to keep each other entertained, I guess, because there's only a certain, like, I don't know. I have this like little Sudoku book that I've been doing little Sudoku puzzles. We played a little bit of chess today, like on our phones, but like anything I do, like it entertains me for like an hour, and then if you're like in the middle of like an 8-hour drive, it's like you go through all these phases of like entertaining yourself that eventually you just kind of end up sitting there and staring out the window, you know? Yeah. But I don't know. It's nice to tour with people, you know, you're close with and have a rapport with, and mostly we just kind of chat and listen to music.
If I can clarify too, Shannon wasn't just reading, but was reading Harry Potter in Spanish while listening to the audiobook as so to get better at Spanish, which is cool. That's cool and productive and a great use of time. I talked to my wife is from Mexico, and I talked to her on the phone, and I was like, yeah, Shannon was doing this. I think I should probably also get a book in Spanish and keep up. So
Yeah, and I think we're so used to, all of us, the DIY touring world of where you roll up to, you know, a house or a garage or a backyard or something and play the show, and this is such a different world for us of there's a lot more dead time than we're used to. We get to the venue and there's, you know, 3 or 4 hours, we'll do a sound check, but we're waiting for everything. And
We have a merch seller too.
yeah, and so Lexi, who's been with us, has been selling merch, and that's kind of alleviated a lot of our time. So I think we're still kind of finding our rhythm of what we're going to be spending our time with, and a lot of it now is sort of like what's immediately around the venue that we can kind of go explore has been cool. Yesterday in Fort Worth, I found a record store right next door, and we'll kind of see what we can find around the town. And Lexi, our merch seller, has a list of like big roadside attractions for us to go see too, like the world's biggest pistachio and stuff like that is in Arizona. So I think, or New Mexico. So we might try to pass it on the way back to California. But things like that, we haven't really ever had the like luxury of time to do like these excursions. So something like that I think would be fun to add in this tour.
Big pistachio. Okay.
I know, the world's biggest.
Very cool.
There's only one.
So you mentioned you're from Mesquite, and then you moved to California. I'm from San Diego, and then I moved to Arlington.
Oh,
So
crazy.
it's kind of flip-flopped.
Yeah.
How old were you when you moved from Texas?
Well, so I was 15 when I moved from Texas to Pennsylvania. I lived in York, Pennsylvania for the rest of my like high school. So like 15 to 18, and then when I was 18, basically a month after I graduated from high school, I moved to California, and I've mostly been there since then. I lived in Philadelphia for like a year, and then I've lived in California since like most of my adult life.
Very cool.
Yeah.
As far as like the DIY scene in the Bay Area, like if you could just like describe that, or like how you guys came up in it and your experiences, like favorite memories or anything.
Yeah, so well, I came up in the San Jose DIY scene. That's like where I still kind of claim San Jose. I know that we always say we're from Berkeley now. I live in Berkeley now, but I lived in San Jose for 10 years, and until really recently, it felt like San Jose was a scene that was like tragically overlooked when it was like such a special and I don't know, strong community. So I'm glad that now there's like bands like Scowl and Spy and Tsunami and all those bands that you know, bring attention to San Jose. But anyway, that's where I come from, is the San Jose scene. And that's where we started, and then but the lineup's always been kind of shifting and everything, and now the current lineup is all East Bay. Anyway, I don't know. Does someone else want to talk?
Yeah, I grew up in Berkeley, and I've kind of been part of the 94 Gilman Berkeley scene. So I have played in bands throughout, you know, the DIY culture for like 12, 13 years now, and it just kind of always became second nature of music, and local, bands was always paired with the DIY aspect for me, and I never really knew anything outside of that. And so for finding, meeting Shannon and finding this band and doing all this stuff, we bring so much to the table of like, we've dealt with having to run our own merch and dealt with every single aspect that you can imagine of like running a tour and everything. You have to be kind of a jack of all trades of learning that by being part of the DIY community, and you just become, a pseudo expert on all of these tiny details. And I think that really helps when you get to this level. You really feel like you have a confidence in kind of what you're doing. But also you get exposed to kind of every possible sense of music. You see, like, you grew up and I was playing shows with like ska bands and hardcore bands and all this stuff, and you're not like limiting yourself. So these are the bands that sound exactly like me, so that's all I'm going to play with. And in DIY, it's all about the community and not as much about like, you have to play with these genres or you have to play with these people. And I think that allows us to adapt to something of like, we were doing a tour with Your Arms Are My Cocoon last month, which is much more of a screamo band, and then we're able to turn around and do a tour with a band like Teen Suicide, which is much more on the like indie lo-fi kind of front, and other bands that kind of were more tailored into pay to play or something like that might not be as kind of able to adapt to those situations. And I think DIY, like Shannon and I and all of us, and Nico too has done a ton of DIY touring. All of us like so heavily rep DIY and encourage like, this is like, we're playing in big venues, like this now, but like DIY is the way that you meet your music community around where you are. And like, it doesn't matter what the venue is, it'll appear in front of you somehow.
Yeah. And we still play like mostly DIY shows. When we do like support slots like this, it's like we don't have control over that. But the last tour that we just did, I think every show except for one was a DIY show. So, yeah, it's a thing that I prefer to play shows like that. But
Yeah, I think the thing about DIY that's super special is, like you said, everyone's kind of like learning as they go. It's like no one's really an expert. So like I've learned a lot like putting on shows with her and stuff in San Marcos. It's like a college town, like 40-ish minutes away.
Where do you book it?
So there's like this park. It's like this lady owns it, and it's like, I don't know, probably like an acre or so, and it has a porta potty, and it's just in the middle of nowhere. But like, there's no noise ordinance. All you have to just bring a generator, and you're kind of set.
I think her name was Lindsay.
Okay.
San Marcos. I don't know if she still lives there. It's a college town, right? So
Yeah.
people move a lot, but
There's like a super tight knit community there of like doing DIY shows and stuff. So we do it there, and then Alchemy Record Store. The owners just like move all the records to the side, and bands just play and like mosh around. So we're super lucky, and like I'm very grateful for that. So it's awesome that you guys like kind of came up through that. And so if you could talk about the rest of the tour with Teen Suicide, like how did this like come about, or like how did they talk to you guys, like who set it all up? And
it was just their agent emailed me. I'm friends with their agent, and I guess what I heard is that Sam or someone in Teen Suicide asked their agent Alex if they could reach out to us, and then they did.
Cool.
Yeah. And then I said yes.
Yeah.
And then several months later, here we are.
Yeah. And then kind of shifting to like the songwriting part, from like the time you recorded and released the first album to the second one, is there any like, looking back, is there any like way that you recognize kind of ways you guys grew or like changed as a band, like sonically, or just like even playing stuff live?
We all appeared.
Or how you all
Yeah, here.
yeah.
Nico, you want to answer that one?
Yeah.
Sorry. The joke is that none of these people played on the first album.
Okay.
So the lineup has shifted a lot over the years. And initially, awakebutstillinbed was like kind of started off as my sort of solo project. Basically, I was in I was in a bunch of bands in San Jose that would like play for a couple of years and become like established in the scene, I guess. However much you want to say that for like a DIY band, but we would do that and we'd put out like a record or something, and then like we'd break up. We'd do like one tour and we'd break up. That happened like twice in a row. And after like several years, I was like, okay, this is cool, but I want to be in a band that's not going to break up.
Yeah.
So I was so used to writing collaboratively, and I decided to just try out like a singer-songwriter project. And that was like where Awake But Still in Bed came from. And I was very surprised to have any amount of success with it, but it is what I'm doing now, which is cool. But the original lineup was just a bunch of my friends in San Jose, and two of them kind of immediately after the album came out and I started like being like, I'm going to tour a bunch, kind of immediately backed up and were like, yeah, we don't want to do that. Our drummer stuck with us for like a year, and then we like through that time we like cycled through like several guitar players. Like every tour basically at that time was a different lineup, and so like the time between our first album and the second album was a lot of sort of inconsistency, I guess. We were touring a lot, but we were cycling through members, and people would leave and they'd come back in. Like my friend Angeles like played in the band, and then she left, and then she came back, and it's like then COVID happened also, and it was just like a whole thing. But then we kind of settled on lineup like the years preceding the album being recorded. And I've been playing with Brendan since 2019, and Alex, this isn't like it's not the same thing as my other friend, but Alex filled in for us on a tour back in 2019, and then he joined the band in 2022. And so it's like, it's been kind of all over. But as far as the songwriting, I write everything.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally Brendan will help me with arrangement. He'll help write some guitar parts or, keyboard parts and stuff. But I feel like it's mostly like... Yeah.
You come with like fully developed songs, and then we just kind of add stuff on top of it.
Yeah. And even like the guitar parts are like kind of collaborative. Like I write a lot of them, and sometimes we write them together, and sometimes you write them, but it's... Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice balance for me.
Cool. I don't know how much time you guys have, but I think that was super fun, and thank you for sitting down with me. I appreciate it a lot. If you ever want to play in San Marcos, like
That sounds really cool.
I would set it up tomorrow, so that'd be super fun if you guys are down.
We have an off-day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Best show that we played on like my favorite kind of things that we do, like the best show for me at least, I left the Your Arms tour a couple days before it was over, but we played a laundromat bar in Columbus, and like for me, when you find places that's like the scene formed around a necessity to have a place, and it was just that's what they had. That's so much cooler than like, oh, this venue with a big stage and big lights. It's like, it's great, but like, man, like I did my laundry before we played, and like, and then like got a drink, and the bartender was like, oh, the bands didn't drink enough. Do you want free shots? And then like played an awesome show, and it's like, this is all just before it was a laundromat. And seeing exactly what you're talking about, of like this acre field that is just there, and then you kind of find a use for it through that, is just such a like perfect thing of what I feel like this band, and the bands I've been in, the bands that Shan's have been in, and bands that Nico have been in, I think Brendan's bands too, and like all of us like idolize that kind of thing. So that's so cool to hear, like whenever that starts up, it's like, yes, even if it lasts for a bit, it's gonna like change someone's life and perspective and stuff. So that's so cool that you're doing that.
Yeah, I think that's like just the number one reason that I like go to so many shows and record them, is like a lot of bands coming through the scene, like they're not going to play forever. So to have like all the memories on like YouTube, like I record full sets usually and stuff. And so I would love to start doing more interviews. I don't know how'd it go. What do you think? Pretty good. Okay. Not bad. Yeah, absolutely. So anything else you guys want to wrap up and add with, or thank, or just shout out? No pressure.
San Marcos.
Yes, that's crazy. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys. Anything else? No.
I was gonna do a joke where I was like, I want to thank my mom and my dad, but I'm just kidding.
Go ahead. Okay, I would laugh. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Woohoo.